During the exercises as closely as I think you might imagine. We're very comfortable and confident that we have in place in the region sufficient resources and capabilities to protect our national security interests in the Indo-Pacific. There's no reason for tensions across the Taiwan Strait to devolve into any kind of conflict.
Former Defense Secretary Mark Esper is with me right now. He's the author of the New York Times bestselling memoir, A Sacred Oath, where he speaks about the darkest days of the Trump presidency in his own words. Mr. Secretary, always good to see you here. You know, China practiced these sealing off Taiwan during these latest drills. So in terms of timing, we've been reporting that China has every intention to attack Taiwan within the next 4 years. Do these combat drills signal that it could be much sooner?
Well, I'd say what we know is that China's President Xi Jinping has told his military to be prepared to attack Taiwan if necessary by 2027. Now, right now, I don't believe they have the capability to do so, but they are building those capabilities. They now have the world's largest army. In the last few years, they built the world's largest navy. And these exercises at first were meant to send a message to the Taiwanese with regard to President Tsai's recent visit to the United States. They are clearly also using them to practice and rehearse, if you will, if called upon by Beijing to actually conduct some type of attack.
But I'm actually reading an article stating what China's military released, saying that the troops are ready to fight at all times and can fight at any time. And I'll read this quote again: to smash any form of Taiwan independence. As Americans, you know, we're already looking at how we're supporting Ukraine during this time of the Russian war. And now these threats by China against Taiwan, where the U.S. has been very steady and sure of its defense of Taiwan as an ally. Are we looking at another situation where America would provide financial as well as boots on the ground support to this country?
Well, President Biden has told the American people on at least 4 occasions that if something happened, if China was to unilaterally attack the Taiwanese for no reason, that the United States would come to its defense. Now, we don't know what form that would take, but he has asserted that. And of course, our relationship with Taiwan and China has been governed by law, by communiques, by policy now for over 4 decades. So, look, I think the key thing, and this is a bipartisan consensus, is that we need to remain strong. We need to have a lot of allies and partners also supporting Taiwan. But this is the nature of the 21st century, where the democracies of the world are facing off against the autocracies of the world, principally China and Russia. And we obviously have a hot war right now that's been underway for 14 months in Ukraine. And we have to watch very carefully what Beijing may attempt to do against its smaller neighbor, Taiwan.
But I want you to go on record for me here, because you've worked in a presidential cabinet. Should the U.S. get involved is the question.
Yeah, I think so. Again, if it's an unprovoked attack against Taiwan by the Chinese, then I think we should stand by our partner. We should stand up for the democracies of the world, not just because it's the right thing to do. But look, if the Chinese gain access to Taiwan, the entire Pacific will be open up to them, as they would now control a major part of the first island chain. It would also rattle our allies in the region, Korea, Japan, the Philippines, Australia, about our willingness to come and support and defend them as well. So, look, this would be a major step toward China reaching its goal that they've set forth, that by 2049, they want to dominate the Indo-Pacific, if not the global order, and really install their way of doing business, their norms, their behaviors. And if you like to live in a surveillance state, if you don't like your freedoms and liberties, then maybe that's the place for you, but not for me.
And I think that there has been a lot of criticism of this administration in terms of sending mixed messages, or appearing strong on one side and then appearing weak on the other. But how strong of a message did it send to China and Taiwan that Speaker McCarthy met with Taiwan's president?
Well, I think it was important that both he and Speaker Pelosi have met with President Tsai Ing-wen, and numerous congressional delegations have done so for years, for decades. And in fact, just this weekend, we had another congressional delegation in Taiwan. So it's important to send those messages. We need more of our allies and partners to do the same. And to his credit, President Biden has been very clear on this. It's unfortunately some of his aides who have anonymously tried to walk it back and create some confusion, if you will, in both the minds of the Chinese and our partners.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.